Hello, Group 1, welcome to reading. First, let's take a look at this person's first impression of you. We have the Hermit and the Ten of Pentacles, with the Fool as the underlying energy. Right away, I get a sense that you and this person were not especially close or familiar with one another in the beginning. There may not have been any direct or personal or meaningful conversations between you, so they really didn't know much about who you truly were. In fact, they may have had very little understanding of your actual personality. However, what they did pick up on very strongly was that you seemed like someone with a story to tell. Someone who has lived through unique experiences and carries a depth that isn't easily revealed. Your life experiences feel so distinctive that they rarely come up in casual conversations. It's not necessarily that you refuse to share your personal history or intentionally act mysterious. Rather, you may feel that most people cannot truly relate to what you have experienced. Sharing those stories might shift the atmosphere into territory that feels too deep, too heavy, or even awkward, so you often choose silence or simply avoid that topic. And this person sensed that boundary and respected it. They didn't push for answers. But every time they interacted with you or participated in group discussions with you, they paid close attention to your responses. Whenever people discussed specific topics, daily habits, or personal preferences, or even unconscious reactions, they listened carefully because each small detail helped them understand you a little better. On one hand, they felt that you were highly protective of your privacy, perhaps even excessively so, to the point that it almost felt like you were isolating yourself. On the other hand, they also noticed that you actively tried to be part of the group. They saw someone with strong team spirit, someone who values social harmony, mutual respect, and a traditional ethic. The appearance of the hermit tells me that they perceived you as wise and thoughtful. You seem like the type of person who knows a great deal, yet rarely voices your opinions or openly displays your talents. And because of this, they couldn't quite gauge your true capabilities. At times, they wondered whether you were simply humble or whether there was some strategic calculation behind your silence. Now, what's fascinating is the contrast between the hermit and the fool. These energies are complete opposites, yet they blend together surprisingly well in your case. Despite your depth, there is also something light-hearted about you. You occasionally reveal a childlike innocence, a sense of wonder, or simply contentment. You seem deeply focused on one particular thing that matters to you, while remaining completely detached from many things that other people obsess over. The mystery for them was this: what is the one thing you care about so deeply? What could possibly matter enough for you to withdraw like the hermit, disappear in your own world, and devote yourself entirely to it, while remaining indifferent to things that society typically considers valuable or important? The Ten of Pentacles also suggests that they assume you came from a stable and well-supported background, not necessarily wealthy or aristocratic. They saw you as someone with good manners, strong values, and a respectable upbringing. They imagined your family relationships as relatively straightforward and healthy. Because of that, they were puzzled. They couldn't understand how someone from such an ordinary, stable environment could become both so profound and so detached at the same time. What had you experienced? What shaped you into someone who is simultaneously deep and remarkably free-spirited? Now keep in mind that we are looking at a first impression, which may not reflect your actual reality at all. Interestingly, I can almost see a scene where your first encounter happened while you were completely absorbed in your own thoughts. Perhaps you unintentionally wandered into their social gathering, a family event or business function, or some setting where you seemed slightly out of place. Now, looking through their eyes, I also get a sense that this person themselves values depth of thought, long-term significance, and a purity of intention. And that's probably why they notice you in the first place. Now let's see how their perception of you changed after getting to know you better. We have Temperance and the Justice. Underneath the deck, we have the Judgment. My immediate impression is that after spending more time with you, this person had a major realization. Suddenly they understood why you initially appeared somewhat isolated. It's because you operate as an observer of systems, rules, and principles. In many ways, you are not only an observer, You're also an enforcer of order. If you met in a workplace, they may feel that your presence naturally exposes areas of confusion, inefficiency, unfairness, or disorder that helps bring them back into alignment. Even outside of work, you come across as someone who can restore balance when situations become chaotic. You have a gift for transforming disorder into structure, conflict into peace, and mistakes into something more accurate and functional. At times, your decisions or viewpoints may seem difficult to understand. Some people might even consider you overly rational or emotionally detached. Yet, despite that, this person deeply trusts your integrity. They believe your judgments are fair and unbiased. They see you as someone who doesn't take sides unnecessarily and who genuinely dislikes conflict. Another quality they began to notice is your ability to see potential where other people see none. You can recognize possibilities in people, projects, or situations that appear hopeless on the surface. As a result, you may invest your time and energy into things others consider unworthy of attention. You may care about issues that everyone else overlooks or dismisses. Through the experience, this person also realized that you aren't isolating yourself at all. In fact, you are quite willing to get along with almost everyone. The difference is that you prefer healthy boundaries. You don't seek excessive closeness because maintaining a certain distance allows you to remain objective and impartial. In most social gatherings, people form obvious preferences, friend groups, and alliances. There are always favorites. But from their perspectives, you don't seem attached to any particular clique. You don't appear to have strong biases. You don't even seem to have a fixed target of attention. And because of this, while they find it easy to have friendly conversations with you, they also feel that genuinely capturing your interest will be extremely difficult. There's a fascinating contradiction in how they see you. Sometimes you seem warm and welcoming toward everyone, smiling brightly and making people feel accepted. At those moments, it feels as though anyone could become your close friend. Yet other times, you seem equally neutral toward everyone. No favoritism, no special treatment, no obvious attachments. It's almost as if nobody truly stands out enough to earn a privileged place in your world. With the judgment as the underlying energy, I sense one additional perception. Although they admire your fairness and strong moral compass, you carry an invisible evaluation system inside your mind. It's as if everyone has a file, a scorecard, a record, and whether consciously or unconsciously, you are assessing people according to your own standards. They also perceive you as highly aware of risk, consequences, and responsibility. This is something they respect greatly, but it's also one of the reasons they find you a little intimidating. Finally, let's look at the guidance for this connection moving forward. We have Eight of Pentacles and the Seven of Wands. At the bottom of the deck, we have the Hierophant. Okay, the strongest message here is simple. Share more of yourself. Whether it's your past experiences, your current life situation, work progress, personal opinions, or perspectives on important topics, this person would genuinely appreciate hearing more from you. With the Hierophant underneath the spread, I feel that they place significant value on this connection. Even if the relationship is still relatively new or superficial, they believe it has the potential to become something reliable and long-lasting. The Eight of Pentacles and the Seven of Wands suggest that they see you as extremely independent, perhaps too independent. Because you don't always communicate your thoughts or circumstances in real time, they trust your character completely but still feel somewhat disconnected from your actual life. As a result, their relationship can sometimes feel polite yet distant. They would likely love to understand you better. The problem is that they don't want to intrude on your personal space or make you feel uncomfortable. So instead, they seem to be waiting for a friendly invitation, a sign that they are welcome to come a little closer. Of course, if you're not interested in developing the connection further, whether personally or professionally, that's perfectly understandable too. You may already sense that this person has strong convictions and clear preferences. Unlike your more impartial and universally accepting energy, they seem to hold definite positions and beliefs. Once they decide what they believe in, they are not particularly eager to change their minds. For example, you may not identify strongly with any specific religion, while they might have a firm spiritual or ideological framework. Interestingly, these cards don't feel like traditional advice cards. They feel more like confirmation. Your spread shows someone who possesses healthy boundaries, strong principles, and clear standards. The message isn't asking you to change, it's encouraging you to trust your own judgment. Continue honoring your boundaries, continue honoring your values. If the energy is aligned and the connection is meant to deepen, it will happen naturally. There's no need to force anything. The oracle cards we have here are sexuality, someone is still figuring themselves out, and school, the answers that you're seeking involves going to school. So this may reflect a person's curiosity about you. They may wonder about your romantic life, your orientation, your relationship status, your educational background, or your field of study and work. It could also describe their own energy. Although they may appear firm in their beliefs, they may currently be going through a period of awakening, self-discovery, or personal transformation. Your presence may have challenged some of their long-held assumptions and caused them to question ideas they once considered unquestionable. Of course, this could also apply both of you. Perhaps you are both in the process of discovering yourselves. If that's the case, today's reading reflects your current energies and circumstances. Perhaps 1 month from now, as both of you gain greater self-awareness, the messages may naturally evolve as well. What I can say is that the overall energy of this spread feels incredibly positive. The curiosity this person feels toward you appears sincere. This isn't gossip. This isn't an obsession with your past. They genuinely want to know who you are. They genuinely want to understand you. And this is a beautiful energy to end on. Thank you so much to everyone who chose Pile 1. I wish you all the very best and I'll see you in the next reading. Hello Group 2. Welcome to our reading. First, let's take a look at their first impression of you. We have the Emperor and the Six of Pentacles, with the Seven of Swords as the underlying energy. My immediate impression is that this person initially saw you as someone who wasn't entirely genuine. They may have felt that you were putting on a front, performing for an audience, or carefully managing a public image. There is strong energy here, and I want to emphasize that this is simply their first impression of you. It doesn't necessarily reflect who you truly are. If you already have a certain level of status, influence, or authority in your environment, this person may have felt that they needed to be cautious around you. Even when you were generous, they questioned your motives. They may have wondered whether your kindness, support, or assistance was actually a subtle way of looking down on others. Even if you haven't achieved what society would traditionally call success, they seem to have sensed your potential. They may have felt that you were ambitious, capable of climbing higher, or perhaps someone with strong backing and support behind the scenes. And because of that, they interpreted your goodwill as strategy rather than sincerity. In their mind, there might have been hidden motives behind your actions. Regardless of your actual circumstances, they viewed you as a potential threat. Deep down, they felt that the two of you were not operating on equal footing. It's almost as if they believed that if you wanted to, you could easily gain power over them or negatively impact them. Since this is a general reading, their thoughts may not have been quite as extreme as I'm describing. In some cases, however, their imagination may have gone even further. Whether mild or severe, I do sense a tendency towards suspicion or projection here. What's interesting is that you may have sensed this awkwardness as well. You might have worried that your attempts to be friendly or kind were somehow making them uncomfortable. Both of you seem to have recognized the same thing. The harmony between you existed mostly on the surface. Underneath, there was caution, there was hesitation, there was mutual wariness. This card suggests that no matter who you actually are, this person tended to imagine you as more complicated than you really are. They believed there was a purpose behind every action, every word, every gesture. They may have been assumed that everyone around you could become either a tool or resources for you to use. Or perhaps they themselves wanted some form of influence over you, but felt unable to achieve it. For some reason, I feel like this is someone who couldn't easily avoid. Maybe it's a relative you are not particularly close to, or a co-worker, or someone who remains present in your daily environment. The Six of Pentacles sits in the center of this spread with warm, golden energy. Yet strangely, beneath that warmth, there's noticeable chill. Everything about this first impression seems rooted in perceived differences in power, resources, or influence. Not an open competition, a silent one, a hidden struggle. That being said, I don't necessarily see hostility here. I don't think this person was consciously trying to harm you. What I see is more of a human flaw, a tendency to project fears, insecurities, or assumptions onto others. Whether that flaw becomes a serious issue depends on how strong it is and how much it matters to you. Overall, this cause suggests that they greatly overcomplicated their image of you and misunderstood many of your intentions. Next, let's see how the perception changed after getting to know you better. We have Eight of Cups and the King of Swords with the Strength as the underlying energy. Okay, the biggest shift in their perception revolves around what true strength actually means. To be fair, this person absolutely recognizes your strength. They know you are powerful. The difference is that their original definition of power was centered around control, influence, authority, resources, and dominance, especially in practical matters or social dynamics. That's why they initially misread your intentions. Their assumptions were unconsciously filtered through their own beliefs about power. But as they got to know you, they began to realize that your strength operates very differently. Your strength lies in your willingness to say no, your willingness to make difficult decisions, your willingness to let go of aggression, your willingness to follow your highest principles. This is completely different from the version of power they were familiar with. For example, the Eight of Cups represents the courage to walk away from people, situations, or attachments that you deeply care about when you know they are no longer healthy. Meanwhile, this person may have previously believed that strength meant forcing change upon others, to trying to make people conform to their wishes. Similarly, the King of Swords represents the courage to speak the truth and the courage to accept the truth. This person, however, may have associated with power with persuasion, pressure, manipulation, or convincing others to adopt the same position. Whether the position was even authentic to them is another question entirely. What they eventually realize is that you don't seem overly concerned with winning or losing. You don't obsess over every advantage or disadvantage. You prefer to invest your time, energy, and heart into what truly matters. As long as the most important people and the priorities in your life remain intact, you are willing to accept imperfections. You are willing to accept imperfect life. Perhaps in the past, you struggled more with flaws and disappointments, but now you seem remarkably at peace with them. You don't allow more imperfections to consume you, and you certainly don't lose your dignity over them. Earlier we talked about how this person felt as though they were competing with you. The irony is that after spending time with you, they realized that you were never participating in the competition at all. The thing that comes to my mind is exactly like the strength card. Imagine someone exhausting themselves trying to prove something, only to discover they were the only person involved in the contest. And then after all that effort, you simply smile, pat them on the head, and sincerely say, "Wow, you're really impressive. You did great." Not sarcastically, not manipulatively, not performatively, but genuinely. Because just as the King of Swords honors truth, you recognize genuine strength in others and feel they deserve honest praise. After getting to know you, this person came to understand something important. No matter how soft your heart may be, you won't stay in unhealthy situations simply because of attachments. You are capable of remaining silent in a noisy crowd. You possess enough intelligence and strategy to win many mental games, yet you still choose to do what's right. You refuse to prove your intelligence at someone else's expense. And also, even when the path takes longer, even when life has tested you repeatedly, you choose to transform aggression into inner strength, a strength that protects both yourself and others. Finally, let's look at the guidance for this connection moving forward. We have Knight of Swords and the Two of Wands. At the bottom of the deck, we have Five of Swords. Okay, the first thing that comes through is surprisingly emotional. I feel that when you look at this person, you may see a younger version of yourself, a version of yourself that was proud, defensive, perhaps even somewhat insecure beneath a strong exterior. That may be one reason you are able to be so patient with them. You've lived through experiences that shattered your pride. You know what it feels like when your ego collapses and you are left feeling exposed or humiliated. But you also know what comes afterward, because when unhealthy pride breaks apart, something stronger can emerge. Self-love, self-acceptance, and a genuine self-worth. The truth is, your compassion extends beyond this person. You tend to be understanding toward many people because you can see your former self reflected in others. And you can also see who they may become in the future. In a strange way, it's as though you recognize that you meet each other again someday, perhaps not literally, but energetically. You feel like different versions of the same soul, different stages of the same journey, different timelines of the same story, separate yet overlapping. There's another message here that's quite interesting. If things between you currently feel tense or uncomfortable, I actually see the possibility of a remarkable cooperation in the future. During challenging moments, the two of you may end up standing on the same side, and surprisingly, you work together very naturally. If one person faces danger, the other may step in and help. If one person lacks resources, the other may provide support. There is a strong potential for mutual assistance here. Not only that, but there seems to be an unusual sense of understanding between you, almost like a quiet form of telepathy, a sense of recognizing one another, of appreciating one another. That doesn't necessarily mean you'll become extremely close, but the tension between you softens. The need to compete disappears. The push and pull dynamic loses its power. So what's the advice? Bless them. Wish them well. Because blessing them in many ways, blessing yourself. When you offer compassion to who they are today, you may also be healing a version of yourself from the past. The oracle card we have here is Late Night. Get ready to be wined and dined. And oracle cards, you are able to discern answers and guidance for yourself and others. I feel that right now, communication between you and this person is still somewhat cautious. You are talking, you are interacting, but the conversation haven't become deeply personal yet. And for some of you who chose Pile 2, you may be exceptionally skilled at understanding the hidden tensions that exist within relationships. And the deeper this connection develops, the more suppressed this person will be by your ability to help them make sense of their confusion. What's beautiful is that while you are helping them find clarity, you'll experience breakthroughs of your own. The issues that once kept you awake at night, the things you thought you'd never fully release, one day you will suddenly realize they've already faded into the past. Without even noticing, you will outgrow them. So to everyone who chose Pile 2, I wish you all the very best. Take care and I'll see you in the next reading. Hello Group 3, welcome to your reading. First, let's take a look at the first impression of you. We have Ace of Cups and the Three of Cups in reverse, with the Page of Pentacles as the underlying energy. My immediate impression is that you give people the feeling of being a child of the divine. You are not necessarily the type of person that society traditionally labels as charming or universally likable. But somehow, people find themselves feeling a little more affectionate towards you than they intended. When this person first met you, they experienced a strange combination of familiarity and unfamiliarity. There was an instant sense of goodwill toward you, but it wasn't based on physical attraction or personality compatibility. In fact, your appearance, style, or mannerisms may not have matched their usual preferences at all. Personality-wise, you may not even have seemed like someone they would naturally click with. And yet, you awaken a gentleness within them, the kind of tenderness an adult feels while watching a sleeping baby or a beloved pet resting peacefully. Even though you barely knew each other, they found themselves feeling unexpectedly protective of you. There was a sense of compassion that arose naturally, and honestly, it suppressed them. What's fascinating is that during your earliest interactions, this person had already begun recognizing something profound about you on a subconscious level, even though they were not consciously aware of it yet. Let me first talk about what they did consciously notice. Regardless of your actual age, you appeared childlike to them in a very positive sense, not immature, simply untouched by certain aspects of the world's cynicism. When speaking with you, they automatically became more considerate. They might avoid sharing crude jokes, excessive gossip, or overly harsh conversations around you. There are certain jokes they simply wouldn't make in your presence. Whether they are physically close to you or not, they can recognize your sincerity. They trust your heart. Perhaps you are a little unconventional socially. Maybe you are not practically interested in social activities, even when you are capable of getting along with people perfectly well. This person understands that. They know you aren't withdrawing because of negativity. They know that when a shared goal matters, you are more than willing to cooperate and contribute. They also sense that you have your own way of processing people, situations, and experiences. Your timing is different. Your perspective is different. Because of that, they realize they can't apply ordinary expectations to you. Even when you seem a little out of place, they instinctively feel there's a reason for it, and that they are willing to be patient enough to understand that reason. Another thing they notice is that you are almost too humble. At times, they feel you underestimate yourself or place unnecessary limitations on your own potential. If this person is older than you or more experienced, they may see you as a hidden gem, a rough diamond waiting to be discovered, someone worth nurturing, someone worth protecting. Now, let's move into what is recognized subconsciously, even if they weren't fully aware of it, because this is where things become extraordinary. Deep down, they feel your meeting carries special significance. Listen carefully. You are like sacred water from the divine, sent to nourish the caring hearts of others. When people spend time with you, they naturally want to become kinder. They want to show better parts of themselves. Simply being in your presence creates an effect I can only describe as flowers blooming in the heart. People become calmer, gentler, more peaceful. The noise and the restlessness of daily life begin to fade, and suddenly they are able to focus on what truly matters, things with lasting value and meaning. I have to say, this is a very special message. We're only looking at a first impression, yet the subconscious recognition here is already remarkably deep. And because of that, I feel this person is highly intuitive themselves. Regardless of their gender, status, profession, or background, they possess strong sensitivity, strong perception, and significant spiritual gifts of their own. Next, let's see how their perception of you changed after getting to know you better. We have the Lovers and the King of Cups. We also have Strength as the underlying energy. Okay, some of you who chose the previous pile may also be listening to this one, just with a different person in mind. The biggest change in their perception isn't about what they think of you. It's about how much they think of you. In the beginning, you seemed like someone who needed protection, someone who deserved extra care, someone gentle and perhaps a little vulnerable. But over time, they discovered something surprising. You possess tremendous inner strength. In fact, they may eventually believe your inner strength is even greater than their own, and that realization deeply impresses them. You often give this person the feeling that you can see right through them, as though you can look beyond their words and understand what they are truly feeling. You seem able to perceive concerns they cannot openly express, and at times, you even step forward to help solve problems before they ask. The more they get to know you, the more they begin to feel that your meeting wasn't accidental. At first, they may have believed that they were the blessing entering your life, that they were your benefactor. But over time, that perspective shifts. More and more, they begin to feel that you are the gift sent by fate. The truth is that you are each other's benefactor. You are complementary. Through one another, each of you develop qualities that already exist within the other. Another thing they admire deeply is that, despite being compassionate, caring, romantic, and even somewhat dreamy, you are not weak. You are not naive. You are not overly sentimental, and you certainly aren't someone without principles. When important moments arrive, you are remarkably clear-headed. You know what you stand for, and you possess enough emotional maturity to hold space for other people. This person is amazed by your emotional mastery. It's almost as if your feelings flow freely, yet remain entirely under your control. There may have been situations where they assumed you'd quietly suffer alone or become trapped in overthinking. But after getting to know you, they realize something important. Many of the things they expect to upset you don't actually hold that much power over you, or even when they matter to you, they don't control you. Your philosophy seems to be that everything can change. People can change, circumstances can change, life can change. A temporary situation is never the final outcome, and perhaps there is no final outcome at all. Because of that, you're willing to fully invest yourself in the present moment while remaining untouched to specific results. The longer this person knows you, the more they experience your care, your reliability, and the sense of safety you bring. If they are someone with status, authority, or a strong sense of pride, they may find themselves letting down their guard around you. They may reveal vulnerabilities they rarely show others. They may even allow themselves to depend on you. If they are younger, more impulsive, and more restless, your presence helps them become calm, grounded, and centered. No matter what role this person plays in your life, I see one thing very clearly. Over time, they trust you more, they rely on you more, and they admire you more. Finally, let's look at the guidance for moving forward with this connection. We have Queen of Cups and the King of Wands in reverse. At the bottom of the deck, we have the Fool. Okay, the key word here is listening. As we were already discussed, this is a highly complementary connection, but the complementary relationships also contain major differences, and those differences require adjustment. During the adjustment period, your rhythm may not always align. Your energy levels may not always match. One person may feel energized while the other feels exhausted. One person may feel emotionally fulfilled while the other feels mentally scattered. One person may want expansion and exploration while the other wants stability and consolidation. In those moments, communication becomes an art form. The person speaking needs to translate emotions into clear information and understand that the listener will often grasp the facts before fully understanding the feelings. Meanwhile, the listener needs to translate information back into emotion and understand that behind every story lies an emotional need waiting to be heard. With the Fool underneath this spread, I feel this isn't the first time you've encountered a connection like this. A relationship that feels inspiring, fascinating, and slightly awkward at the same time. Perhaps you've experienced something similar before, but were not fully able to navigate it. And that's why the Fool appears. The Fool represents a new cycle of beginning again. However, this is not a judgment card. This isn't a second chance designed to correct past mistakes. Instead, it's a new opportunity because you are no longer the same person. You've changed, you've grown. You now possess a different mindset and a different level of awareness. And because of that, you are able to approach a similar opportunity from an entirely new space. What's beautiful is that as you learn to navigate this connection, you also begin resolving conflicts within yourself. The relationship becomes a mirror, and through understanding each other, you come to understand yourself more deeply. The oracle card we have here is Caution. Find out more information. Don't overwork yourself. And Freedom. You are free to do what you choose. Together, these cards suggest that you may have a tendency to take on too much responsibility. You may also overanalyze yourself and engage in excessive self-reflection. I also feel that some of your self-imposed limitations are connected to qualities this person possesses but you aren't fully developed within yourself yet. And if you are willing to share your worries and concerns with them, listen to their perspective, and experiment with their approach, you may discover something surprising. You may find that their way of doing things doesn't feel unnatural at all. In fact, it may feel familiar because those qualities already exist within you. They've simply been waiting for permission to emerge. So to everyone who chose Pile 3, I wish you all the very best. Take care and I'll see you in the next reading.